Hi, this is James Rieger, co-chair of Tandem Halpern's Cannabis Industry Practice Group, here with another one of our video minute series, The Cannabis Insider. We've been talking about the Marijuana Regulation and Tax Act of New York, which was passed on March 31st, 2021, which is designed to regulate, tax, and administer an adult use cannabis program for the state of New York. The law has been written, which is about 100 pages, but the regulations still haven't been written. So there are some levels of detail that we just don't have at this point. There are 9 license types available in New York, and we've been talking about some of the more interesting ones recently. Today we're going to talk about a very interesting one called the Microbusiness license. So New York, to the disappointment of many folks, has developed a 3-tier system of cannabis licensing in New York. And there's a very broad ban on vertical integration with a couple exceptions that we'll talk about. So in other words, if you want to be a retailer and sell at retail in New York, you can't grow or process, distribute, or deliver. You've got to choose one of those. One of the interesting things that there is a license called the Microbusiness license. So the Microbusiness license is an exception to the ban on vertical integration, and in fact allows you to cultivate or grow, process cannabis, distribute cannabis from a cultivator to a retail establishment, sell at retail, and actually deliver. The interesting thing though is that it has to be of its own products. So in other words, you can't grow a small amount of cannabis and then have a retail store at which you sell a bunch of other brands as well too. You're really selling your own products. So you're making a decision that you want to be in the business. You don't want to pick and choose among which license type you want, and you want to do everything. We find that we speak to a lot of folks who are interested in getting into the cannabis business in New York now that adult legalization is here. And we find in the first 5 to 10 minutes of talking to them that many of them don't know exactly what they want to do in the industry. And they go through the various license types and they express some disappointment that they can't do more than one of them. So the microbusiness license is the exception to that would allow you to do all of them. If you do have a microbusiness license though, you cannot have an interest in any other license that in the state of New York. You can't have an interest in a retailer, you can't have an interest in another microbusiness license, you can't have an interest direct or indirect in a cultivator or anything else. So you're choosing essentially, I want to be fairly small. So what does micro mean? Micro means what you think it means. It means small. The New York law right now uses the word limited. It's the only indication we have of what small means in New York, or what micro means. It means that you may grow, process, and sell at retail a limited amount of your own cannabis. So we'll see what the regulations have to say. By analogy, New Jersey also has a microbusiness license. And New Jersey is a good 4 to 6 months ahead of New York in terms of developing their rules and regulations. We do know that in New Jersey, a microbusiness license entails not having more than 10 employees, not having a bigger grow operation than 2,500 square feet, and some specific plant limits in terms of number of plants and poundage limits in terms of processing cannabis. So it'd be very interesting to see what the regulations say about this. And we think there'll be a great interest for canna entrepreneurs who want to be in the business to apply for microbusiness licenses. Thank you. James Rieger, thsh.com.